Another result that did that was Sheffield United's first win of the season against Wolves, which I don't know how many people saw that coming, but they've had a really rough run, haven't they, so far, Sheffield United? Massive injury crisis so far. 9 players out, I think it was, before this game. Really struggling for form,
Crazy.
without a win up to now, but a dramatic late penalty to get a precious 3 points against Wolves. And I think they've got this as the third latest winner in Premier League history because of how late it was into injury time, into stoppage time. But Miles, that was much needed, wasn't it, that victory?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not necessarily a surprise when you think that this was them at home against a side that are reeling from an injury to a key player for them this season. I think we saw how impactful Pedro Neto has been for Wolves with him being absent from this game. And actually, there were a couple of moments of real quality from Sheffield United that they've been lacking through the season so far, but them kind of coming together in this one game might be enough to galvanise them slightly. I'm not saying that I think they're all of a sudden going to go on a mad winning run and pull themselves out of any danger, but it is huge for them to even pick up 3 points at this stage, because there was starting to be murmurs of, oh, are they going to take Derby's record for the worst season? And you don't want that hanging over you. No matter what your season is, that's not what you want the narrative around your team to be. It's never productive. So it was really good for them to see some pretty good individual performances come together as well, and them just take the game to Wolves when they needed to. And I have to say, Cameron Archer, I've always known he's a good finisher, but that goal, that's excellent for him as well. Because in the Premier League, we're yet to see Archer at his best. And that goal was a moment of it, absolutely.
I think Archer's performance contrasted with a player that I don't know why he's in Sheffield United's team, in Brewster, was just a stark contrast in the direction the club has gone in the past and need to go now, because I think Brewster's just such a disappointing talent and wasted at that club, and they spent a lot of money on him. But Archer, Dave, seems like a much more astute signing, and a player who we were saying on this podcast could quite easily break into the Villa team potentially this season had he not gone elsewhere. But he could be a key player for Sheffield United, couldn't he? Especially going forward.
It's definitely the right sort of move for him. It's always going to be difficult because he's going into a team that ultimately are going to struggle to stay in this league, and they are going to struggle to compete in a lot of games, and they'll probably not have a great deal of possession, like the likes of Villa would do in games. So he might not be able to showcase his ability to his full potential, but he's got the opportunity to play at the very highest level, and that's the important thing. He's shown in glimpses, he's scored goals, some great goals as well already. So I think he'll go on to be a real good player. I've no doubt about that. It's just, I think that's one thing that you mentioned there about Brewster, is when you get young talents going to, a struggling Premier League club, and they find it difficult, and obviously it's a lot of pressure on young shoulders as well to come in and pretty much have the responsibility of scoring goals, the main goals for that team, and that's the job he's got. And I think more than anything, you just got to go in there and give it you all, and I think that's what he's doing so far. He's definitely proven to be a real good buy for Sheffield United, and I think their fans as a whole are. I don't think they've got a lot of hope of staying up, to be honest. I think they just want to see their team and their squad all pulled together, and they've got a real togetherness in there. They'll give themselves an opportunity. I mean, you look at Luton today as well. I think it'll be difficult, but I think they've got a chance of potentially staying up.
I think with the relegation picture now, there's a very clear gap forming between the bottom four. And again, I know we're not even halfway through the season yet, but those bottom four teams all look at the same level almost in terms of how poor they can be. And Sheffield United is still very much in that picture, even with a fully fit squad. But I think one player that they've got on their books right now, albeit temporarily, is James McAtee. I think he had a great game this time around, and he's not going to stay at Sheffield United whatever happens, because he's one for the future, isn't he? I think he had a transformative game in this one as well. Obviously got the assist for Archer's goal too, Miles.
Yeah, and I think that with this side, they need to find that balance, don't they, of the young talent they've got coming through, trying to buy wisely, because we know that they had quite a turbulent summer, losing 2 of their key players, and that's always going to be difficult. But there are some really good experienced pros in there as well to carry players like McAtee through. I mean, who else would you want on that penalty in the 100th minute of the game than a professional like Ollie Norwood, someone who's been around for so long and done so much at that club and elsewhere. It's excellent to see him kind of having another season in the Premier League as well. So there's talent in that squad, and they've got to find a balance of utilising players like McAtee, as you mentioned, and Archer while they've got them, because although it was a permanent buy, he has a great season. Villa are activating that buyout, their buyback. You want that to be with you in a healthy position. You don't want that to be you've been relegated and then you lose a player that you've been relying on so much, because it's just really hard to start a rebuild at that point. I wouldn't be surprised to see them quite active in January if there's even a sniff that they could stay up. I think if they're still within touching distance at that stage, they've got to address some of the holes in the squad.